I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of Leviticus, chapter 15, so let's focus on verse 25. When a woman has a discharge of her blood for many days, ... From a chapter that has made 8th grade boys snicker throughout the ages, we find the setup for one of the most profound miracles of Jesus' ministry on the earth. Mark chapter 5, verses 25 through 29. A woman suffering from bleeding for 12 years had endured much under many doctors. She spent everything she had and was not helped at all. On the contrary, she became worse. Having heard about Jesus, she came behind him in the crowd and touched his robe. For she said, "If I could just touch the hem of his garment, I will be made well." And instantly her flow of blood ceased, and she sensed in her body that she was cured of her affliction. You know, doctors are not healers. They are keen observers. And modern medicine is the byproduct of centuries of medical and scientific observation. Persistent observation leads to improved diagnosis and treatments, resulting in heightened probabilities of recovery. Okay, we get it. We understand how medicine works. We're not trying to downplay doctors. And yet, even before the insurance papers are processed, it is God who allows healing to happen. None of us would willingly select Civil War era dentistry, much less first century church era medical practices. Can you imagine the methods of treatment that this woman had undergone before she connected with Jesus? And while there's much to say about this woman's healing and Jesus' response to it, I want to focus on one item. Having reached the end of the world's options, she had nothing to lose by reaching out to Jesus in faith. In a word, she was desperate. And in this observation of her desperation, we are reminded of the great constant of evangelism, and that is this. People do not come to faith in Jesus because of convenience, rather out of desperation. Now ask yourself, what circumstances led you to reach out to Jesus in faith? That is, given that you have reached out to him. People only accept a Savior when they recognize that they need salvation. And I go surfing quite often. And every time I walk into the surf with my surfboard, I try to make eye contact with the lifeguard. I generally wave as I walk by. I want him to know that this old man with a board is going into the water in case I need him later. Now, having identified the lifeguard and knowing that he has acknowledged me, if I were drowning in the surf, you better believe that I would call out to that lifeguard. And I wouldn't be ashamed if, while I was drowning among dozens of skilled surfers, that he asked, "Which one of you guys called out to me?" You see, that's how illogical that our fear of reaching out to Jesus is. Why not reach out to him today? Salvation is only a faithful prayer away. For those who are humble enough to admit that they need it, for those who are faithful enough to call out for it. And when we call to him, we're simply asking him to do what he came to do. To save people who realize that they're drowning in sin, to the point that they are willing to humble themselves and call out for him to rescue them. If you'd like to know more about how to receive the Lord, how to receive salvation, well, then you can go to our website. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.